Hi, I'm Chris of Anglers Marine, North Carolina. Today we're going to be installing a power pole on a Robalo 246 Cayman. Alright, first thing you're going to do is we're going to go and open up all the boxes. On this boat here, it has a jack plate, and on the jack plate is where you can mount your bracket. You got two holes on either side, on both sides, so you can either run a dual or a single power pole application. We're going to go and open up the brackets first, and then we're going to open up the power pole box itself. Alright, now that we have everything unboxed, first thing to do is need to go ahead and figure out which bolt is going to be the one long enough to mount. Found out that these are the ones that will mount through the jack plate. Use the square washers first on each one. Just going to open up the other bag for the other bracket. They also come with instructions as well. Then you have your mounting for the power pole. We'll set them to the side. Figure out those are a little too long. And grab your flat washers, your nuts. Just grab all four. I'm going to grab one side for now. Alright, now that we have everything over here, go ahead and get the first one lined up on both. Then I come through and get that one set in there. Then go ahead and get my first washer and nut on. After we get the first one in, then you go ahead and line the second one up. And after we line that one up, go ahead and put the nut and washer on that one. And then just grab the other side and do it on the other side as well. Alright, now that we have both of the brackets mounted, before I tighten them up, I usually go ahead and mount the power poles to it. And I zip tie the power pole so it won't fall over or anything like that. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Because like I said, usually what I'll do is I'll run a zip tie through this, so when I'm going to mount it, it won't fall over because there ain't no pressure on it. We're going to do that to both. And then in your rigging kit with the power pole, it comes with the hardware and on the bracket. We're going to open that. You have two longs and two shorts. The longer ones will go on the side that is doubled up. Then you use your washers with the rubber gaskets on them. Alright, let's mount this. Alright, now we're going to go and mount this on there. Like I said, you have the longer bolts and shorter bolts. Now the side that has doubled up, you'll use the longer bolts on. And the reason why I don't tighten this all the way up is because when you go to tighten this up and you mount this, it'll actually spread the two plates apart. So it makes it more when you go to actually mount it. And then that's on there. Alright, now that we have both of them mounted, which I repeated the exact same thing on the other side since there is dual power poles on this. Now the other thing is to tighten the brackets to jack plate. These is either going to be a 3/4 or a 19mm wrench to tighten those up. And then after we'll tighten them, then we'll go ahead and tighten up the power poles to the bracket. Those will be a 14mm. So, usually go ahead and tighten up the first one. Now let's tighten the bottom one. On the bottom one, we could get a ratchet on it. Now we can tighten the power pole up on there. This one is going to be a 14mm. Usually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and it snugged up where I could take a step back and make sure it's straight. And when it is set straight, then we're going to finish tightening it up. And this one, you won't be able to get a wrench on, so I have to use 2 wrenches. All right, and that's basically how you just make sure everything is tightened down on there. Give it a little, make sure nothing's moving. And once it's tight, you're ready to move on to the next step. Now that we have both of the power poles mounted and tightened up, we're going to go ahead and put the shrouds on it, which covers basically all the bolt holes and everything. We're going to put those on, and then we're going to run our hoses in through the boat, and then we'll mount the pumps and everything. But let's go ahead and open the boxes for the rest of the stuff. All right, let's go ahead and mount these on the power pole. All right, now that we have everything over here, if you look, they have tracks that it will ride in. So when it goes on, it's going to set in that track. So basically, set it up, make sure you're clearing your hoses and everything. And you'll go in your track. Now on this side, you can't get a drill in because of the swim platform, so it's a little bit closer. So I use my stubby screwdriver, which I could probably get my drill in right here. All right, so we got that side tight, and then we just do the same thing on the other side. You don't want to overdo it if you use a drill, because you can overdo it. You could crack the shroud, you could strip the screw, or anything like that. And that's basically how you put the shroud on. All right, now that we have both of the power poles on, the shrouds on, everything's done on the back side of the boat. Now we're gonna cut the zip ties off of that. We're gonna go ahead and open the boxes, get everything else out. Put 2 holes in the back on each side. They're gonna be 3/4 inch holes for your hoses to go through. Let's go and open the boxes and check out all that. Already opened up this one box. That's going to be your bracket for your pump. This is the fluid they give you. If you ever run out of fluid, you have to use this kind of fluid, the ISO-32. If you don't, it could actually mess the pump up. They send you these bolts. We're not going to use these bolts because these are mounting bolts if you mount it through a transom. So we're just going to discard them. We'll keep this kit because that's what mounts the pump. So then the other box is going to have the same stuff. Like I said, we're going to discard those. Then we're going to open these 2 boxes, which is your pump boxes. There's your pump, and then it sends you remotes in your boxes as well. And your other pump box. Now that we have these, we'll go ahead and mount your brackets on it. On this boat, we're going to mount the bracket where it's facing up and down. Depending on your application, you can mount it where it's to the side. This application, we're going to mount it just like this, but you'll have your washers that go through on both sides, and they give you a rubber gasket that goes straight across. Line that up, and then we'll just go ahead and screw it down or bolt it down. All right, let's get the wrench for that. Be a 15 if I'm correct. And it'll sit on there like that. Do the same thing to the other one. All right, since those are tight, we'll go ahead and set these on the back of the boat so when we go to use them. Put all that up there. And now let's go ahead and get the hole saw so we can mount the hoses through the transom. Like I said, it's going to be a 3/4 inch hole saw. Just put that in there. Let's grab a tape measure so we make sure we get everything around the same angles. All right, now that we got our pumps and everything put together, all our fluid and everything up here. Everything's mounted. We still got to run our hoses. First thing I do anytime before I cut a hole, I always come down, look in here, make sure, because it's going to be coming through the splash well on each side. Make sure you don't have no wires or anything in the way, so when you do pop your hole, you're not drilling into any wires or any hoses or anything. So since I know there's nothing behind there I got to worry about, let's go ahead and close this down, come back here and measure and figure out where the hoses are going to go. Cut the zip ties off. So we'll go in right here, up under this. On this side, we'll do the same on the other side. So basically what I'll do, just take a straight edge, basically right in there. Mark a straight edge on each side, so then I know I'll have them kind of in coordinates to each other. Got everything marked. So now we're good to drill. There's one hole out the way, 2 holes. All right, now that we have our holes on both sides cut for your power pole hoses, we'll go and run them through. If you see on them, you have these rubber grommets. Those rubber grommets will fit in through the holes. Basically what I do, I just figure out which one's going to be the bottom one and which one's going to be the top, so it kind of goes in accordingly. So we'll go ahead and run that one through. Then we'll go ahead and put the other one in as well. I got both in. What I usually do, I always try to give a little bit of slack for when the power pole goes up and down. All right, now that we have our hoses ran through the boat and everything, they're all ran into the bilge. Now we just basically have to get in here, pull them where we can use them. Make sure you don't have them tangled up like how it was right then. Now I have those hoses pulled free. I'm going to pull these. Now that we have our hoses pulled free, we can figure out where we're going to mount our pumps. Now in this particular model, what I usually do, I usually mount my pumps kind of up here on this shelf so they're out the way, but I still give enough room if we ever have to pull these plates up, so we ain't got to pull the pump out. We can just take the 4 screws out the plates, and I'll mount one on the opposite side, vice versa. All right, now that we have both pumps mounted in place, we got to run the hoses to your pumps. On the pumps, the blue cap, which it has a label on it, says insert up hose here. So the hose for the up side is the one that goes there. Now if you look at your hoses, like this one, it has down on it, so that'll be your down one. And you'll have on this one, it'll say up. So this one will go to your blue, which it also has the same color on it. I always double check because I have seen them flip them around by accident from the factory. Basically what I would do is just come back here, see if there's any way we can hide the hoses. So now that they're going to be out of the way in here, we could push some of it back, and then we'll come in and still zip tie it up. Your blue is your upside, so just pull these off. Sometimes you have to cut them. And then they just thread right on. Just make sure both of them are tight. Your hoses are ran back there, which will go into the one compartment, zip tie everything up, neaten them up a little bit. All right, now that we have the pumps and the hoses ran, y'all seen where I had stuffed the hoses behind the wall on these. So what I'm gonna do is use these zip ties with screws, because these zip ties, they have holes for screws so you can mount the wires and everything. So basically what I'm gonna do is where the hoses are coming through, I'm just gonna take them and roll them together like that. Put the zip tie on it, and then I'll just screw it to the starboard wall. So then it helps keep them up and out the way. Then we ain't gotta worry about it flopping around. All right, now that we have everything ran, pumps done and all that, the last thing we have to do is to run the wires. The wires, they already have a fuse built in them. They're a 40 amp fuse. So you have the fuse holder and everything. It's already built in. So, and when we wire these, we don't wire them straight to the battery because they'll have constant 12 volts to them. You don't want that because that could end up killing the battery on the boat. So what I usually do is I take them and I run them to your battery switch. Basically, I just run it back through the hole here. So then when I go to pull this down, that there, and then we'll take the other side and cut these little tabs off of it. I'll just take these, run the positive back and around, and you take the ground, we can hook the grounds onto the ground on the battery. We got both of these right there. We'll go ahead and take the two ends that they give you, get our stuff so we can come over here. I always cut their end off so I can redo it. Crimp that one on, and we'll go to the other one for the exact same thing. You sit there, and after you crimp them on, just go ahead and shrink. Grab my little socket set, because we got both of the positives done and heat shrinked. On the battery switch, it's going to be a 14 millimeter. Then you just come in right here. Like on these battery switches, you have your two powers going in. So you got there and there. And then you got your two outputs, which will be here and here. Both of them are outputs, so when you turn the switch on, they'll send power out on both of these. With the powers off, you got power coming in on them too, because those are the ones that goes to your batteries. So you would hook your power to the outgoing side, because you don't want constant power to your power poles. If you have it like that, or it's wired like that, then you possibly could have a malfunction with it, and it could end up draining your battery. Put this one on there. We'll take the other one, which we have a bunch of excess. We'll zip tie all that extra wire up and out the way. Put your end back on. All right, that's tightened up and snug. So then we'll grab the zip ties. We'll grab this excess that's run through. Take it, cool it up, and then usually what I'll do, I'll take something like another wire with it cooled up like that. It's neat, out the way. And since we're gonna go ahead and put this back on the wall, we'll snip the zip ties. And then what I would do here is just zip tie this up. Now that we have your powers and everything ran, now we take both of your grounds, we'll both hook them up to the battery. So they're both going to go about like that. So we'll cut them. We'll put the ends on. And after we put the ends on them, do the same as we did to the other ones, and heat shrink them. After they're heat shrinked, use 13mm socket. Take the ground off the battery nut, and then we'll put them both on. And then once they're both on there, we tighten it up. We'll go to both of these pumps, take the caps off. Take the caps off and grab our fluid. Then we go ahead and fill them up. All right, filled that one up. It still has a little extra fluid in it, but once you prime the pump, because you're supposed to run the power pole up and down to prime it, get all the air out the system, and once you do that, the fluid will drop down, and then you use what's left in the pump or in the jug to fill it the rest of the way back up. All right, there's both of them. Now I'm gonna cut the zip ties from earlier we put on the power poles. Now that both are down, we'll come back. We'll turn them on. When you turn power on, both of the pumps will make a sound. We'll do this one. You just run it till it takes the fluid. All right, you'll hear it sound different when the fluid goes through the power pole. Now that it took the pump, the fluid dropped, then you're going to use the rest of the jug into the pump. You just do the same on the other side. And that's everything to installing twin power poles on a jack plate bracket. All right, now we've done all the necessary steps on installing the twin power poles on this 246 Robalo. Now we're just going to go through, make sure everything works as it should. Everything's working. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to give us a call up here at Anglers Marine in North Carolina. That's pretty much it on installing twin power poles.